How you doing, guys? Today we're actually going to do the first fix-it on the Little Mule 857. I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, wait a minute, fix it? We haven't even seen the thing run yet. And that is true. The final video or the finish up video will be out very shortly. But in my test runs and even at the Wheel Horse show, the one thing that was just absolutely driving me insane was the play in the steering. I should have replaced this part when I had it all apart, but I was trying to get it done and this, that, the other thing, and I never got it done. And what it was is in here, let's see if we can get it, it's going to be a little dark, but in this area we have the steering shaft or steering shaft support, I guess is what you would like to call it. And there's a bushing right at the end of this shaft that's in the support. Now I didn't replace it, and it was caused, there was obviously wear, and this shaft was moving side to side like that. Before the gear actually moved from the steering shaft, it would slide side to side. That was causing an incredible amount of play in the steering wheel. So what I did was I pulled it out, and I'm going to fix or replace the bushing at the lower end. So let's head over into the garage and take a look at what we got. Alright, so here are the parts in general, or at least this is the steering support. If we were looking from the perspective that I just showed you on the tractor, this steering support sits, let's see if we can get it, yeah, there, it sits in this position. Front of the tractor is this way, rear of the tractor is that way. The steering shaft comes down from the steering wheel right to that position where there's the little gear at the end of the steering shaft. The sun gear, the big gear, is right in this position with the teeth facing towards the rear. The lower steering shaft, which goes to the end links, is in this position, passes through this lower support. The shaft is 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So what Wheel Horse did was they just put a bronze bushing in that position. And why I need to replace it is because there's a bunch of side-to-side thrust pressure when you turn the steering wheel. It basically wore out the sides of the bushing, this bushing right here. So I knew that the inner diameter was 3/4 of an inch. I needed to come up with the outer diameter of the bushing. So obviously I took or I shouldn't say obviously, what I did was I took this triangle file and just gingerly made a couple slices in it with the corner of the file. That just gave me enough looseness so I could it just basically fell out. I didn't want to hit it with a punch because that is so thin, I would have marred up the edges of the cast iron. So once I had that out, I was able to get my dial calipers, measure the inside of the bushing area, and it actually worked out to be right there. 8125 or 3/16 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch is the inner diameter. It's right there. So I said, well, let's go take a look online. I looked all over. There, McMaster Car, eBay, some bearing places, and nowhere could I find a 3/4 inch inner diameter and a 3/16 outer diameter bronze bushing. So that came up with, well, I got to come up with a solution to this. And I went to Tractor Supply and got this bushing, flange bushing, which was 3/4 inch inner, 7/8 outer. Now, obviously, that's not going to fit. This bushing would require me to open it up a little bit less than 7/8 of an inch so I could press that into place. I talked to my buddy. He was like, I probably wouldn't go machining out the original part. Why don't you just go get a 3/4 inch inner diameter bronze bushing and with a 1 inch outer diameter and just machine it down on the lathe to fit inside the original 13/16 hole. So I said, that sounds like a plan. So let's head over to his place and let's machine that bushing. So after a couple hours of, well, it only took me about, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to machine this down to size, but it ended up being like about 3 hours of bullshit and then, just having shop talk. So what I'm going to do, and so here's the finished product after all that. I probably could have been a little bit gentler on the machining. It is a little smaller than I wanted, but it slides in, but it does have a little bit of a press fit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press fit this into position, and then I'll get the hacksaw and I'll cut it off, and then I'll take my die grinder with the sanding disc and just smooth it all out so that way it's in there. I'm debating on whether or not to put a little bit of blue Loctite on it just to keep it still, but that should do the trick. All right, so let me get that thing pressed in, cut off, and sanded down. So as you can see, I just pressed it in a little bit. It is a bit loose, but it'll work. I did dump a bunch of blue Loctite on it. Nothing to necessarily worry about. I mean, it's cast iron here. Let's focus. There we go. The cast iron will live with the Loctite. There's oil inside this bushing, so that's probably going to not let the Loctite really work that great. But I put a little Loctite in there. It should be fine. I'm just going to finish hacksawing it off and sanding it down. So there you go, with a little bit cutting and a little sanding with the angle grinder with a sanding disc. The bushing's in, and it looks real good on both sides. I'm real happy with the way that came out. I'll let that set up with the Loctite, give it a fighting's chance. I did get this piece of 3/4 inch bar. Obviously it's not the steering arm or the steering bar from inside the tractor, but you saw it slides in real nice. As you can tell, there's no play. I mean, immeasurable compared to what it was. So this has been installed. The bushing's been installed, and this upgrade is finished. So I'm going to let that set up, and I'll reinstall it in the tractor. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I've been working on this stupid thing all day. Well, not working on it, but goofing off with this thing all day. So for right now, that's how I fix the lower bushing on a steering support. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will be back soon.